spell your last name? G-R-O?
Groce.
Give me a rundown of what all happened. I mean, the day, from the day this happened on. Just tell me all.
My husband and I are kind of separated. He lives with his mother, and during the day he doesn't want our son. He's 3 to go to daycare, so he takes care of him during the day. And at night, when I get in from work, I pick the kids up and I go home. Well, this night I had came in, and Jay and I had gotten into an argument, and it got a little, physical, yelling and screaming back and forth. And I was waiting on my son to get there because he was with Jay's father. And, it kind of escalated, and we were in a heated thing, and some words were said, ugly words back and forth, and my son, I heard the door open. My son and his grandfather, which is Bubba Groce, came in, and all I did was turn around. I grabbed my son, which I kind of scared him because I picked him up and I just ran out the door because I knew that from the things that were said that he was not, was not letting my son stay there because Jay was mad, and it was his mom was there, and he had called his mother and said that I was doing this and I was doing that, which was totally a lie. And he's portrayed me to be this god-awful, horrible person, but anyone that knows me knows better. But anyway, we going back to the, when I picked my son up, I ran out the door, and his dad grabbed me by the arm, and he told me I wasn't taking Garrett anywhere. It's my son's name. And I just kind of jerked away from him. I ran out the door, I ran to my truck. Well, I ran to the passenger side and I jumped in, and they were coming after me, and I was just screaming, leave me alone, leave me alone. Well, Jay's dad was on one side, on the driver's side, and Jay was on the passenger side, and Jay grabbed my arms, and he said, get him, Daddy, get him, and I'm screaming, no, leave me alone. Well, instead of his dad taking Garrett, he punches me in my face, and I start screaming, your dad just hit me, your dad just hit me. And Jay is in nothing but his underwear, running around screaming that I'm an insane person and that I'm not sane enough to take our son. Somebody please call the police department. And I didn't have my phone because I had dropped it earlier and didn't know where it was. So the whole time I'm screaming, let me go. His dad's twisting my arm, and my son's just clinging to me. And he's actually saying, I want my daddy. Because when Garrett came in, he's used to, if Bubba has him during the day for a little while, when he comes in, he says, I want my dad. And if he's with whoever he's with at the time, that's who he wants. And if he's with me, he says, I want my mommy. And that's just a, child thing. And, he didn't know what was going on. All he saw was Mommy pick him up and run. And Jay's jumping up and down in hysterics. So he said, I want my daddy. Which that's perfectly normal. And, but he was clinging to me, and he didn't know what was going on. And Bubba was trying to pull on Garrett's arm, and I just put my arms around him and, held on to him. And the whole time, everyone's screaming, and Jay says, I really don't know what he said. He was saying all kind of other things because it was just so chaotic. But I remember screaming, leave me alone, just let me go. And I looked over, Jay's mom was standing there. And I said, please make him let go of my arm. He's hurting my arm. He's really hurting me, please. And she said, Edgar, just let her go. And so he let go of my arm, and Jay, I saw him run into the house. And when Betty started to walk off, Bubba hit me 2 more times in my face. And then he walked off. And I just got over in the driver's seat and had my son next to me and started to drive off. And he starts screaming at me something, and I said, you're a coward. You are a no good coward, and how dare you hit me. And I just drove off. And that was basically it. I filed a report with the sheriff's department. They came out and asked me if I wanted to protect the border. I said yes. They asked me if I wanted to file charges. I said yes. And the very next day I found out that a judge had recalled the warrant for his dad for assaulting me. And it just was, I was totally upset. I was just in tears because I thought, well, how can someone do something to you like that and then not have any repercussions? Because he had no right. He took it upon himself to hit me. He could have, taken my son, but Jay had my arms bound, and he could have very well just grabbed my son. But no, he decided to, hit me, and it was just crazy. And I went to, the very next day, I went to a friend of mine's office in Cleveland, and he said, well, maybe you should just go over to Liberty County and talk to someone over there. So I went over to Liberty County, and I talked to the county attorney, and he went in, and I went inside Judge Don Taylor's office, and he sat down, and I filled out all the paperwork saying that I wanted to have a protective order, and I didn't want them around me or my children because he assaulted me. And he brought up something to do with cows. Well, you live on the property that belongs to Bob and Betty, and I said, yes, that's what our house is. And he said, well, if I were to work their cows, how would he be able to do that if he can't come within 200 feet of you? And he got this little map thing out and showed me his computer. He goes, show me exactly where you live and where the fence is, where the cows are. And it kind of threw me off because I was like, what do his cows have to do with me being assaulted? And he said, well, thank you for your time, and I will let you know something in just a little bit. So I went back to Mark Busolet's office, and I sat there. He's a county attorney. And I sat in his office. And I mean, I was just in tears because I knew from the interview nothing was going to get done. And I just sat there and I just cried and cried. And a few minutes, I say a lot. So if you hear me, that's just me. But I went back to his office, sat there, and I mean, I just cried because I knew that they did not care one bit whether or not I was injured or I was hurt. And he said, well, Judge Don Taylor has recused himself, and Rusty Hyde is going to take a look at it, and he will let us know in about 30 minutes whether he's going to sign it. Well, 30 minutes went by, and he still hadn't looked at it. And his secretary, Mark Busolet's secretary, came back in, and she said, well, let me call you, because Judge Hyde is supposed to sign this, but he's not looked at it yet, so let me just call you so you don't have to keep sitting here. And you know, Mr. Busolet, he was very helpful, and he said, I'm very sorry, I'm doing all that I can do to help you, and I don't understand why they will not sign a protective order, because you've clearly been assaulted, and it's just not right. But Judge Don Taylor, I can understand where he would recuse himself, because my husband had gotten some trouble a while back, and he was his attorney before he was a judge, and he's very good friends with the Groces. So I can understand that point of view, but right is right and wrong is wrong, and when you take an oath to uphold the law as being a judge, you shouldn't put your personal life, you know, with your job. Do your job that you're supposed to do, and clearly he didn't do that. And I found out that Judge Hyatt was willing to sign a protective order against my husband, but not Bubba Groce. And I couldn't understand that either. I'm like, well, even though he held me and he was an accomplice, so to speak, he's not the one that actually hit me. So why would he do that and not Mr. Groce? And that just really upset me even worse. And so now pretty much no one's doing anything. It's sort of up in the air, and no one's signing anything, and he's not going to sign or do anything. And I don't understand how you can be assaulted and no one, you know, because what if it was their mother or their daughter or their child? They would definitely be on the ball to prosecute and do something. So I just don't understand why nothing's getting done.
When you first filed this was filed in what, JP Precinct 6, wasn't it? The initial?
I think so. Whenever the police came out and did the report.
Okay, there was Vonda came out and did the report?
Yes, and Officer Cohen.
And Cohen,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They came out and made a report. When was this one, David?
It was on a Monday night, and it was probably around 5:30 when they got there, somewhere in there.
And then they said this was going to be taken care of. They didn't try to arrest him there at the scene? Or
No, because I really don't know. I went to my house,
okay.
And they met me at my house.
Now your house is what? He's got quite a bit of property out there. Basically, you and your husband's house sit on that property?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, all of the kids' property. I mean, all the property belongs to them, and all the houses that their daughter live in, and whoever else, it's all on their property, yes. But it is our house. They built it for us.
Now, the judge is not looking at this. I mean, you said the one Taylor backed out of it because he handled your husband's case several years ago, about 10 years ago, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Then you have the other judge. He won't sign it against, what is it, Edgar Groce?
Edgar Groce Sr., yes.
Yes, okay. He won't sign it against him, but he'll take it against your husband.
Right, and that just doesn't make sense.
Okay, your husband basically was just grabbing you and everything else.
Right, he just was holding my arm so that his dad could take my son. Which, that's understandable. But, I'm not taking up for him or defending him, but, I don't think he was aware that his dad was going to hit me. But after his dad did hit me, I'm his wife, and he shouldn't let anyone do anything to me, regardless of whether it's his dad or anyone.
Then he hit you, twice more after that?
Like a sucker punch, pretty much.
How old are those kids?
3 and 9. My daughter wasn't there. She was actually, I had my mom pick her up from school. And I just had Garrett, he's 3. And he's very traumatized by it, and he said, I'm sorry, he calls his grandfather D-Daddy. And, Bubba, he loves his grandchildren very much. But regardless of how much you love them, don't do something like that to their mother in front of them, because that's going to be a traumatic experience. And I try not to, I don't tell my kids anything derogatory about the family, or I tell them your dad loves you very much, and your granddaddy loves you, even though he did this, terrible thing to mommy. Mommy may not ever speak to him, and that's your choice whether, and this is what I'm told my daughter, she's 9, and, it's,
Okay, now, Edgar Groce, he's been a resident of Liberty County for quite a while now?
Yes.
Okay. Knows most of the officials out there, or he's a big campaign contributor also?
Oh, very, very big.
Any particular offices he contributes to, or all of them, or is there?
I'm really not sure. I know that he's whoever asks him, he donates to them. And I know that I was told that one judge, his name's Chap Kane, is very, very, very fair, and he does not put up with any corruption. And they were like, if it goes to Chap Kane, he will sign it, because he does not put up with, it doesn't matter who you are, he's fair, and he's there to uphold his position. And I have met Chap Kane before. He's a very, very nice man, and I even thought Don Taylor would sign it, because he's a very respectable man, and he's very nice, and I have met him, and I have, we've all sat down at a function and had dinner where we would go to these fundraisers, and he's a very, very nice man, and I just would not, I kind of saw it from his point as, yes, I know this family, I'm close to this family, and instead of doing, yes, I will recuse myself of this, but just to bring up cows, because how would he know anything about the cows if Bubba Groce or Edgar Groce hadn't have called him and said, well, this is going to come to your attention, and how are we going to work our cows? Well, he has nothing to do with the cows. He's not even out there when the cows are being worked. It's his son-in-law, his daughter, and his grandson. So.
Judge Kane, have you talked to him at all?
No, just people have said you need to have it sent to Judge Kane, because Judge Kane will sign it.
And what about Mark? Has he said anything about sending over to Judge Kane?
He may have, but I'm not sure, and I wouldn't say quote me on that. But I just from various people that have talked to me, they're like, let it go to Chap Kane's court, and because he does not put up with. I'm sorry.
Okay, now what about? Okay, your father-in-law? He's you said donated to quite a few officials, everything else. He's got a business. What type of business does he have in Liberty County?
It's Montgomery County, actually.
Okay.
He has a greenhouse manufacturing company, and he also has a metal building business. And he does he has lots of rent property, and he has all kind of business ventures. So.
He was also won the lottery several years ago back in 94.
I think yes, sir. He won the lottery. I wasn't around then, but. He did win the lottery.
So this helped his financial position a little bit too with these officials. And see that?
I'm sure it does.
Okay. What about the sheriff? Have you talked to the sheriff himself, the Great Arthur, at all?
No, sir, I have not. I've just kind of been so overwhelmed with the fact that nothing's getting done that I'm just beside myself, and I'm like, what's next? What else can what is the next blow that's going to come to just.
What about, have you found out, okay, Mark's got it, he's trying to take it to the judge. Did he ever find out who actually pulled was an actual warrant, right?
Yes, it was.
Do they know who pulled that warrant?
Judge Fred Deshawn.
Fred Deshawn pulled the warrant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Deshawn's what,
I think he's a JP.
JP, okay.
Yes, sir.
But this was a Class A misdemeanor assault case, right?
I think so. I'm not familiar with. All I know is I filed charges because I was assaulted.
The reason I'm wondering is that Class A misdemeanor can't be pulled by can't be pulled by a JP. It's
Right.
maybe county judge can pull something like that. That's what's the question.
I don't know if he's a JP. I think so, but I'm just. I know he's a judge.
Did he give a reason for pulling it?
I don't think so. He didn't give me. I was going to go and talk to him, and a friend of mine said, no, just let me give you a number of someone that you can call, and it was your number.
Oh, okay.
So.
Sheriff's on it?
And I was kind of adamant at first about calling because I said, he didn't really say who you were. He just said, if you want something done about this, call this number. Mm-hmm. And he gave it to me, and he said, if you really want something done, he said, because it's just not right for people, especially people that have money. And, Jay and I've been married for almost 8 years. And, that's the way the family is. And they don't want their image to be tarnished. And Jay's having a lot of, medical and mental issues. And, they want to keep it all under wraps because they don't want it to look bad on them. And in turn, they're not helping my husband and the fact that they're trying to cover it up to where there's nothing wrong with him. And they justify everything that he does. And all the crazy antics and all the things that he does, they cover it up and they justify why he did this. Oh, he's having a bad day, or he's depressed, or he has a kidney stone, or he's in pain, so he's been,
Now, is your husband working also?
No.
He's not working right now? So
No.
Okay.
He works, he gets a paycheck every week from his job, but he does not work. He lives with his mom and dad, and he lays on the couch and watches cartoons all day with our son. Or he'll go over to work, and he'll work a couple of hours, and he'll go home. And it got to the point where I told him, you need to work, you need to do something, because someone broke in our house, and he was really traumatized by that. And from that point on, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And he sees the psychiatrist once a week, and he goes to his psychiatrist, and he's fine, and he's perfectly normal. And then he comes home, and he's psycho-lunatic. And the things that he says and does, it just does not make sense. And his doctor explains it as he has anxiety, and anxiety brings you to the point where you do get delusional, and you do feel, and you get so scared, and you get so, that things that appear to be normal are not normal.
Now, Jay, your husband, how old is he?
He's 36.
36. Now, he's had some problems with the law before. How did
Yes,
that went over? I mean, it's been about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was a probation deal, and he ended up getting on it.
Yes.
Now, was there an early release off the probation with former judges or something?
You have to spend like a third of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first, when he got probation and community service, his dad let him have time off from work. So for 2 months solid, he did every bit of his community. He had 300 hours of community service. And he would get up at 5 in the morning and go to the senior center in Cleveland and work till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And from there, he would go to work. And he worked off all of his community service. And he reported to his probation officer every time that he needed to go, and he did everything that he needed to do. And they said whenever, a third of your sentence is done, then, we'll release you. And so that's all behind him, and Jay's pretty much been a straight ever since then. And it's just, when our house got broken into, it was just a very traumatic experience. And I guess I had to be the stronger person because we have children. And it was very traumatizing because they were in our house when we were there. And it's just become overwhelming to him. It's not something that he's been able to get past. And then with the anxiety and all the stresses that come with being who he is and who his family is, it's a stressful thing. And I've tried to help him through that, but it seems the more I try to help, the more that I'm the bad guy. And
what about his dad? Has he ever been in trouble,
no. I know that he's had like a couple of DWIs. He does drink on occasion, and when he came in the other night and had Garrett, when I jerked my arm from him, he kind of stumbled, and he fell. Sorry. He fell, not on the ground, but he kind of stumbled into the hallway, and he just didn't. He seemed like he was drunk, and that just enraged me, because he doesn't need to be drinking and driving with my son, and for Jay to, and maybe Jay didn't know that because he wasn't watching, but the agreement was Jay would watch our son and not to pawn him off on his dad. And but yeah, Bubba does have he drinks a lot.
So what, basically all you want with the county officials is basically just get a protective order.
Yes.
So this doesn't happen again.
Right. Well, he thinks he can do anything he wants to me, and he called me on the phone. He came down to mow my grass, and I was so mad. Sunday, I was in my yard, and here comes Bubba driving his tractor, and he said, "Are your horses in here?" And I just looked at him, and I was so mad, because I'm like, "What are you even doing behind me?" Like nothing was wrong. So I just got in my truck, and I pulled into my garage, shut the garage door, locked the garage, and turned the alarm on. And he mowed my grass. And because I had told Jay, I said, "You need to come bring me the mower or come mow the grass because it's really tall." And here comes his dad on the mower. And I was so angry. And I was so upset that he would just even speak to me. I'm like, "How dare you speak to me when, look what you've done to me." And I'm just really upset. And it really upsets me that they think that it's no big deal.
Now, did you go to the doctor and all of that?
No.
It was just basically this black eye, or?
Well, I have bruises on my arms, and I have bruises all down my legs, because they were, my husband was trying to drag me out of the truck, was just trying to keep me from getting, my son, our son, but yes, he is our son, but the way things were going, he wasn't going to, it was, our agreement that I would pick him up in the evening, and all I did was come to pick him up, and things just went crazy.
What, so now, when are you supposed to hear from the judge, the DA, or whatever?
Well, I called them yesterday, and she said, "Well, give me your number, and I will call you back." And I never heard back from them. So, and that was yesterday. And I haven't heard anything from them today, which I know that Mark Bouchelet, he's doing everything that he can do, but he can only do so much. You can only put it to a judge so many times, and he can't help that they won't sign it. So he's doing everything he can to help me within his power.